Hoy hablamos de cómo decir la hora en español. Today we're talking about how to tell time in Spanish. ¿Sí? ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? This is how we say, what time is it? The literal translation means, what hour is it? But again, we don't translate literally from English to Spanish or vice versa. We find the best way to say it. And in English, we would say, what time is it? ¿Qué hora es? Now, there are a couple of ways to answer this question. If it's 1 o'clock, we say, es la una. It's 1 o'clock. Es la una. If it's anything but 1 o'clock, we say, son las dos. Son las dos. Son las tres. Son las cuatro. Son las cinco. Son las seis. Son las siete, ocho, nueve, 10, 11, 12. See? So the formula for telling time in Spanish is es la una, it's 1 o'clock, or son las, and all the other numbers after, 2 through 12. See? So son las plus the hour. See? Something to note here is that you see la and las. The reason that it's feminine, la and las, is because the word hora is feminine. All hours of the day are feminine. See? And we have la for 1 o'clock because 1 is singular. See? And las for everything after that, because if it's not 1, then it's plural, more than 1. So las needs to be plural for everything after the 1 o'clock hour. Bien, so we can say it's 1 o'clock, es la una, or it's 2 o'clock, son las dos. What if it's 2 o'clock and 5 minutes? So what if it's 2:05? See? So to express minutes after the hour, we add the letter Y, which means and then the number of minutes. So I would say, son las 2:05. It's 2 and 5, and the 5 referring to the number of minutes. See, so just add the letter Y, which in Spanish means and then put the number of minutes afterwards. So son las 2:05. It's 2:05. Bien. All right. Let's say that it's 2:40. See? So we could say son las 2:40. It's 2 and 40 minutes. That's absolutely okay to say. There is another way to say it's 2:40. In Spanish, we would go up to the next hour, which in this case would be 3 o'clock, and then subtract the number of minutes it takes to get to that 3 o'clock hour. So 2:40 is 20 minutes until 3 o'clock. So we would say it's 3 o'clock minus 20 minutes in Spanish. So my response would be, son las 3 menos 20. So after the half-hour mark, we're going to go up to the next hour. Then we're going to use the word menos, which means minus, and put the number of minutes it takes to get to that next hour. So again, if it's 2:40, we're going to say it's 3 o'clock minus 20 minutes. Son las 3 menos 20. Bien. Let's talk about midday and midnight, see? So there you can just say son las 12, it's 12 o'clock, and obviously depending on the time of day, you'll know whether you're talking about noon or midnight, or they have their own words, just like we do in English. We could say noon or midday or midnight. So es el mediodía is midday or noon, which is 12 p.m., and medianoche is the word for midnight, 12 a.m. So if I want to say it's noon or it's midnight, I can say es el mediodía or es la medianoche if it's midnight. So they do have their own words in Spanish. And again, you can just say son las 12. It's 12 o'clock. If you want to express AM and PM time, these are the phrases that you're going to use. So if you're talking about AM time, you're going to say de la mañana. So if I want to say it's 4 o'clock a.m. or 4 in the morning, I would say son las 4 de la mañana. It's 4 a.m. Son las 4 de la mañana. Now, if I want to say it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 p.m., I would say son las 4 de la tarde. Son las 4 de la tarde. And let's say it's 10 o'clock at night, 10 p.m. I would say son las 10 de la noche. Son las 10 de la noche. It's 10 p.m. Now, tarde and noche are both used to express p.m. time. There's not a specific cutoff point when it stops being tarde and starts being noche. That's all relative. Many Spanish speakers will start using noche once the sun has gone down, but not every speaker will do that, so that's up to you. Bien. Let's take a look at this flower that I've made for you. So a clock in Spanish is called reloj. So this is el reloj, the clock, see? And you'll notice that each flower petal represents a section of minutes on this clock. So if I want to say it's 1 o'clock on the dot, I'm going to say en punto. Es la una en punto. On the dot or sharp. It's 1 o'clock sharp. Es la una en punto. So we talked about adding the letter Y, which means and then the number of minutes. So if it's 5 after, we're going to say y cinco. 10 after, y 10. 15 after, y quince. Now, there's another way to express 15 minutes in Spanish. We can say cuarto. And cuarto means a quarter of an hour. See? Y cuarto. So you can say it's 1:15, es la 1:15, or you can say es la 1:15. See? And we use this in English as well. If you've ever heard someone say it's 5:45, it's the same type. It's the same idea. See? Okay. If it's 20 after, we'd say y 20. So it's 2:20. Son las 2:20. If it's 3:25, son las 3:25. Now, if it's, let's say, 4:30, see, we could say son las 4:30. So it's 4 and 30 minutes. Or we can say, and the more common way to say it in Spanish is y media and a half. So it's 4 and a half hour. And this is the more common way to express the half-hour mark in Spanish. So if it's 4:30, I would say son las 4:30. Bien. Now, as we talked, as you're going around through the rest of the hour, you can still use the letter Y, meaning and the number of minutes. So if it's 5:40, I could say son las 5:40. Okay? But a more common way to express time is going to be, again, going up to the next hour and then subtracting the number of minutes it takes to get there. So if it's 5:40, see, we're going to go up to the next hour, which is 6 o'clock, minus 20 minutes. So our phrase in Spanish is going to be son las 6 menos 20. Let's say that it's 7:45. See, 7:45. So we're really going to be saying it's 8 minus 15 minutes. Son las 8 menos 15. Or again, we can use menos cuarto because remember, 15 minutes is a quarter of an hour. So I can say son las 8 menos 15 or son las 8 menos cuarto to express that it's 7:45. Let's say that it's 8:50. I can say son las 8:50, or I can say it's 9 o'clock minus 10 minutes. So son las 9 menos 10. It's 9 o'clock minus 10 minutes. All right, so a couple of more things that I want to mention. When we're telling time, as hopefully you've noticed by now, we're using the verb ser, es and son. We use the verb ser when we're telling time in Spanish, and again, all hours of the day are feminine. So, to say what time is it, what do we ask? ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? And you have two basic formulas that you can use. Es la una for it's 1 o'clock or anything in the 1 o'clock hour. Or son las, and then the hour of the day from 2 through 12. Okay? All right, clase, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. Gracias. Hasta luego.